So I'm going to bring up Ann Wolfe, and so Ann is, David noted, she's our senior curator and one of our deputy directors. She's been with us for 11 years, and she is absolutely integral to the development of art and environment at this museum. She has degrees in art history from Santa Clara University and the University of Southern California, and she came here in 2006 from the San Jose Museum of Art right after she had authored her first book, Suburban Escape: The Art of California Sprawl, which she did with Lucy Lepard. She immediately began to expand our altered landscape collection, and that led to our first big book, Whiskera Rizzoli, which was an award-winning book thanks to both Ann's scholarship and Brad Bartlett's design. And then she's built a curatorial program around the idea of art and environment. So the work that we do in the center and the curation that Ann and Joanne do, and then the education that Marissa Cooper does, all of that works together in a very unique synergy. Most museums that have research centers, it's not that integrated into all of the programming throughout their museum. So Ann has really led that. And she's overseen, at least by my count, I think about 150 exhibitions that she's curated and been in charge of. And she's published now more than a dozen books in its catalog. So please, welcome Ann Wolfe.
Welcome, everyone. It's good. Thanks for being here with us. And I'd just like to add my thanks to all of the museum staff. The conference for us is a heavy lift, and we have staff from all of our different departments helping out throughout this weekend. So you're hiding in corners and nooks and crannies, so thanks to all of you. Welcome to everyone. I'd like to take a few moments this morning to explain how Nevada as a place has really helped to shape the Nevada Museum of Art that we know today and that we are today. The world often sees Nevada as empty, desolate, or marginal. We see Nevada, its geography, its cultures, its industries, as a place that informs what we do every day at this museum. Nevada informs the art of our region, it informs the conversations we have about culture, it informs the art we collect, and it informs our interdisciplinary exhibition and education programs. We honor the history of this place every day at the Nevada Museum of Art because the story of Nevada resonates globally. We don't deny our identity as Nevadans and as a Nevada institution. We're not saying that it's not complicated and that Nevada's contrasts don't give rise to really exciting and complicated dialogues, but we embrace this place and we consider it as an integral part of our future. Long before Nevada was settled, it was home to 4 primary indigenous groups. Today, the Washoe, Northern Paiute, Western Shoshone, and Southern Paiute people are our friends and collaborators. Over 2% of Nevada's population is Native American today. We're committed to working with indigenous peoples to tell the story of this place. The oldest human-made marks in North America, nearly 15,000 years old, are located just an hour from Reno on the western shore of what was once Winnemucca Lake, now a dry lake as a result of water diversion projects in the early 1900s. A few years ago, the Nevada Museum of Art worked with the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe, Paiute artists, and the artist Chris Drury to etch a large-scale, 300-foot diameter drawing based on indigenous weaving designs into the surface of what is now called Winnemucca Dry Lake, not far from where those petroglyphs are located. The undertaking was intended to symbolically reclaim what was once native land that is now under the jurisdiction of the Bureau of Land Management, organized by under the management of the federal government. The museum houses nearly 2,000 prehistoric and modern pieces of native pottery. As the stewards of this collection, we believe in the importance of giving a voice to the original makers of these objects and to connecting their meanings to contemporary cultural conversations. We also work regularly with a collective group of indigenous artists from the Great Basin areas of Nevada, California, Southern Oregon, Southern Idaho, and Utah. And I'm especially proud that this group established itself as a result of a group exhibition of contemporary art that the museum organized in 2012. And I'd like to welcome any of these artists who are here with us for the conference. I know there's many of you out there. Thank you. We are also rapidly growing a collection of Aboriginal art from Australia in an effort to link the voices and cultural production of Indigenous people in our region to their Aboriginal counterparts around the world. We believe that comparative study and dialogue with contemporary artists in all parts of the Greater West encourages dialogue about the cultural and environmental challenges that we collectively face. Near Nevada's remote eastern border is Great Basin National Park in Mount Washington, home to the world's longest living trees, bristlecone pines. These trees are the great timekeepers of our earth. They invite us to look back into deep time, in this case, nearly 5,000 years, but they also ask us to take the long view forward. We're beginning a project with the artist Jonathan Keats and the Long Now Foundation, who are designing and constructing a 5,000-year calendar, linking the bristlecone pines of eastern Nevada to our museum. Jonathan Keats is with us this weekend, and he'll be giving a brown bag talk tomorrow, so don't miss that. Nevada's part of the Great Basin, North America's highest and coldest desert, and the last great expanse of North America to be explored, colonized, and defined in the late 19th century. A formal survey expedition of the Great Basin was not undertaken until 1867, when the US government sponsored geologist Clarence King to traverse the Great Desert. Clarence King, his team of scientists, and the legendary American photographer Timothy O'Sullivan, who had taken photographs on the battlefields of the American Civil War, were the first to produce a written and photographic record of Nevada. O'Sullivan's iconic photograph seared Nevada's image as an exotic, mysterious, and otherworldly place into late 19th century America and Europe's collective consciousness. For better or worse, Nevada's reputation as an exotic, mysterious, and otherworldly place still persists in the minds of many, even today. Since the 1860s, Nevada's frontier has attracted those seeking to extract its natural resources. This map shows Nevada's historical mining sites. For the most part, they're now defunct. The two famous American photographers, Carlton Watkins and Timothy O'Sullivan, took hundreds of photographs documenting Nevada's historic mining districts. Their images show not only the mining operations, but also the instant cities that sprung up overnight throughout Nevada during this time. And while a handful of miners may have made their fortunes during Nevada's boom times, Nevada's frontier cycles of boom and bust left many with nothing, and the ruins of these once bustling cities and towns are all that remain. Nevada offers, perhaps, more than any other place, an opportunity to study the rapid rise and fall of urban communities. Between 1863 and 1869, nearly 1,800 miles of track were laid across the United States to complete the Transcontinental Railroad. The arrival of the railroad was the first instance of major corporate and government influence in the state of Nevada, but certainly not the last. Just 30 minutes from where we are sitting today, the railroad summited Donner Pass in the Sierra Nevada. The achievement had come to symbolize America's 19th century manifest destiny. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869 led many of America's most well-known landscape painters to northern Nevada. Their picturesque works depicting this region continue to be studied and critiqued in American art history. Needless to say, the American achievement of railroad completion was not celebrated by Nevada's native people. They recognized that the railroad and the hundreds of thousands of people it would bring to the region would change their lives forever. Nevada is also home to the vast body of water known as Lake Tahoe, located on the state's western boundary with California. Here you see a photograph of Lake Tahoe from the summit of Mount Rose. Mount Rose is significant not only to Nevada's history, but also because it is a birthplace of climate science. In 1906, Dr. James Church, a scientist, humanist, and lover of the arts, established the first snow survey station on the top of Mount Rose. From this station, he began to measure the water content in snow, and then he began to track fluctuating levels over time, which helped to establish the field of climate science, which gave rise to the study of climate change. Dr. James Church also happened to be the founder of this museum. In 2014, Maya Lin memorialized Mount Rose, where Church undertook his studies, in this marble sculpture that is now in our permanent collection. She also used the scientific data of James Church and others to create two major works that helped to visualize fluctuating levels of precipitation in the Lake Tahoe watershed basins since 1965. They're also in our permanent collection. Further to this interest in art related to climate science, our Center for Art and Environment recently acquired the organizational and artist archives of a London-based organization called Cape Farewell. The director of that program, David Buckland, is with us this weekend as well. Since 2003, Cape Farewell has helped to facilitate the travel of hundreds of artists, creatives, scientists, and educators to the Arctic. Artist Minerva Cuevas Rachel Wright-Reed, Anthony Gormley have all traveled with Cape Farewell to grapple with the effects of climate change firsthand. And to date, the Cape Farewell archives are the largest digital archive acquisition in the Center for Art and Environment. In Nevada, water is scarce. We live in a desert. Population growth and settlement in the early 20th century required the development of large-scale water reclamation systems that delivered water resources away from their natural flows to areas of greater consumption. In northern Nevada, the waters of Lake Tahoe flow east along the Truckee River to the large desert terminus known as Pyramid Lake. The 1905 Derby Dam that delivers water away from Pyramid Lake was America's very first water reclamation project. Today, the Truckee River that flows from Tahoe through Reno to Pyramid Lake has been called one of the most litigated rivers in America. Diversion of the Truckee River led to suburban sprawl. Outside of Reno, that internationally recognized photographer Louis Baltz documented extensively beginning in the 1970s. Many of the photographs by Baltz are foundational to the museum's Altered Landscape photography collection. Founded in the 1990s, the Altered Landscape collection remains the museum's largest focused collecting area with over 2,000 photographs depicting the changing landscape. The story of water in southern Nevada is similar, where the Colorado River was diverted by the construction of the Boulder Dam. At that time, it was completed in 1936. It held the record as the tallest dam in the world. Today, known as the Hoover Dam, it provides water to nearly 18 million people in Arizona, Nevada, and California. This is a photograph by Jamie Stillings, who's here with us, and we're happy to be organizing a major exhibition of his work in the next couple of years. The Hoover Dam has also aided the rapid suburban development of southern Nevada and Las Vegas. Canadian photographer Edward Bertinsky recently documented southern Nevada extensively in his series Water. The museum houses over 60 of Bertinsky's large format photographs in our Altered Landscape collection. Many people don't realize that 85% of Nevada's land is under the jurisdiction of the US government's Bureau of Land Management. It's federal land reserved for public use. Access to federally managed public lands means that large-scale mining operations, owned primarily by multinational corporations, dot the entire state. These companies extract a range of minerals and metals, from copper and gypsum to gold and silver, and then export them around the world. These aerial images by David Maisel, also an artist in our Altered Landscape collections, depict the American mine in Carlin, Nevada, an open-pit gold mine just 4 hours east of Reno. Nevada is also home to the only operating lithium mine in the United States. It's located in Clayton Valley, just 3.5 hours south of us. This is a photograph staged by New York-based artist David Benjamin, who the museum commissioned in 2011 as part of an exhibition called Landscape Futures. That exhibition was guest curated by Jeff Mano, who has also been a longtime advisor to the Center for Art and Environment and who's with us this weekend. David Benjamin undertook a project called The Gray Rush that drew parallels between California's iconic gold rush of the 19th century and what lithium mining might mean for Nevada in the future. In addition to federal BLM land, Nevada also tops the list when it comes to the percentage of land under the jurisdiction of the Department of Defense. Over 5% of Nevada is set aside for military operations. The Wendover Army Air Base, active from 1942 to 1969, was conceived and used as a heavy bombardment training base during World War II. You're looking at the hangar that once housed the Enola Gay, the aircraft that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima in 1945. Today, the Wendover Air Force Base is the Nevada home of the Center for Land Use Interpretation's Artist Residency Program. We welcome Matt Coolidge, a director of CLUI and a longtime advisor to the center as well this weekend. The Center for Art and Environment collects and houses all of the archives produced by CLUI artists in residence at the Wendover site. In 1952, the military began testing high explosive bombs on an enormous expanse of public land near Fallon, Nevada. Richard Mizrak, another collection photographer, gained access to the Bravo 20 site in the 1980s, and his images show discarded weapons and the ruined landscape of what was left behind. Artist Trevor Paglin, who we'll hear, of course, later today, has spent more than half of his career documenting classified military bases in the deserts of the American West, many of them in Nevada. Some of these artists are so remote that there's nowhere on Earth that a civilian can view them with the unaided eye. Paglin employs high-powered telescopes to photograph these clandestine military sites. People gravitate to extreme environments like Nevada to experiment, to test, and to take risks. There are fewer rules here. for better or worse, and it's easier to realize the unthinkable. Between 1951 and 1992, just 65 miles northwest of Las Vegas, the US Department of Energy tested 928 nuclear devices, which included nearly 100 above-ground tests and over 800 underground tests, resulting in subsidence craters such as these. It was not only nuclear scientists that were drawn to the desert to experiment. In 1962, Swiss artist Jean Tinguely staged his own explosive large-scale performance, Study for an End of the World, just a 10-mile drive south of Las Vegas. Intended as a critique of post-war material culture and excess, it was also a call for humanity to consider the broader implications of its ongoing nuclear pursuits. Big ideas unfold in the desert. It should come as no surprise that the artist Trevor Paglen approached the Nevada Museum of Art, the only art museum in the state, a couple of years ago, seeking to launch a reflective, non-functional satellite into low Earth orbit aboard a rocket. And even though it sounds like something that an art museum probably shouldn't consider, we said yes anyway. Orbital Reflector is a mylar-like balloon affixed to a small satellite. It will launch aboard a SpaceX rocket, if all stays on schedule, sometime in summer of 2018. Once deployed, the sculpture will inflate and orbit the Earth, visible to the naked eye. Like Tinguely's desert performance, we realized that Paglen's artistic gesture also had the potential to change the way humanity sees its place in the world. We'll hear more from Trevor, of course, later this afternoon. When the international art world thinks of Nevada, considers Nevada, it's to recognize two of the 20th century's most influential land artists, Michael Heiser and Walter Di Maria. To them, Nevada's vast scale and open spaces must have offered limitless potential. And between the two of them, we claim 15 land art interventions since 1968. These are two of Walter Di Maria's early works made in the desert near Las Vegas. These photographs were taken by Italian photographer Gianfranco Gorgoni, and we are happy to announce that we're working with him on a major exhibition in 2019. We'll also be acquiring not only his entire land art archive, but a significant number of his large format prints, and Gianfranco is with us this weekend as well. And here are two of Heiser's early Nevada works, one of which he made on Jean Dry Lake, just outside of Las Vegas. Only 4 miles from where the Nevada Museum of Art and Art Production Fund co-produced and presented 7 Magic Mountains with Swiss artist Ugo Rondinone in 2016. This major public artwork sits on federal land, took nearly 5 years, $3.5 million, and a whole lot of paperwork to produce, and it still draws nearly 1,000 visitors every single day. It joins Nevada's rich tradition of land art interventions. A 4-hour drive north of Las Vegas is Michael Heiser's city, begun in 1972. Built from sand, rocks, and concrete and inspired by ancient Mesoamerican sites, the 1.5-mile-long sculpture is a city without citizens, but at the same time, a monument designed to outlast humanity. This is a photograph by Michael Light, who's also with us, a collection photographer, and I think probably one of the only times this image has been shown publicly. It's in our permanent collection. Michael Heiser's city is also proof of the seemingly limitless potential that Nevada offers to those who imagine the unimaginable. And it's in that same spirit that Black Rock City, the home of Burning Man, with an annual population of 70,000, arises and then disappears each year from the sands of the Black Rock Desert. We welcome Burning Man's 6 founders to the conference. Born of countercultural roots, but today operating structurally, much like any other city around the globe, Burning Man continues to evolve and reinvent itself. The Burning Man Project's recent acquisition of the 3,800-acre Fly Ranch, just 2.5 hours north of Reno, opens the door to Burning Man's and the region's next chapter. In much the same way that the emerging industrial community of the Tahoe-Reno Industrial Center, home to Switch, Tesla, eventually Google, and many, many others, will shape Nevada's next era. We are so pleased to have one of the world's most renowned architects and urban theorists with us tomorrow, Rem Koolhaas, who will discuss the significance of this emerging city with us tomorrow. What you've seen here in this hopefully short presentation are the things that have shaped the museum's program since its founding over 80 years ago, and the things that we continue to think about every single day at the Nevada Museum of Art. Like the many artists who are drawn to Nevada, up until now, we consider all corners of our state, whether rural or urban, real or imagined, The conversations are sometimes complicated, but we consider all of this as we design our program, and we're incredibly intrigued by what the future holds. Thank you for being with us.